Okay, well, welcome to the evening session of May. This is the North American group. And what I like to do is just close the window first. I should have my glasses on, I could see the computer. I'd like to continue like we were doing last time. There's some quotes on healing, specifically forgiveness, in Jesus, My Autobiography, which, as you know, is channeled through Tina Sported. And I took some of the power quotes out. So just to sort of set the note, I'll just read a few more. You do not understand truth. You do not understand that God is love, that all is love, other than what you witness through your mind, which is the projection of all your fears into the world so that you might hate them. The reason you've projected them is you cannot contain that kind of conflict within the mind. The guilt and fear would overwhelm you, and you would go into a state of catatonia, let us say, or have a psychotic break. So what you've done is separate all your fears, all your hatreds out into the world so you might judge them. You've heard this phrase in the Bible, judge not, that ye be not judged. That's Matthew 7. And you will not accept this until you understand that this world is your own creation and that your enemies are your own frightening aspects of mind that you have separated out so you do not have to live with them. That's one half of the quote, but I'll stop that because it's such a powerful statement. And the implication there is what the Course tries to give us in other ways, you know. There's that quote that goes something like, you never hate your brother for his sins, but only for your own. And that's, I think, one of the last things our egos want to look at when you realize how irritated and angry we get in the day. Just, we've got another thing in our mind we don't want to look at. And so we throw it out into the world and then we attack it there. But it's like stamping on your own foot. You might get a momentary high when you feel justified with the righteous anger. But if you watch it, you'll see a little depression comes in after your moment of triumph. Because you just attacked your own mind because that's in there, and you now got even more guilt, which means you've got to throw that out and get even more angry, especially if the person you've attacked didn't react to what you just did and they sit there peaceably. Then you want to murder them. There's another line that all anger is an attempt to make another person feel guilty. And we are an angry race, you know. We might suppress it, some of us don't show it, but it's still there. And the thing to change a person's behavior is make them feel guilty. That's a terrible feeling to feel guilty. You then get them perhaps to change their behavior and say, I'm so sorry for what I did, you know, and then you graciously forgive them. Jesus calls the holier than thou forgiveness, which is part of the family of what the Course calls forgiveness to destroy. It's the world's forgiveness. So I find that a very powerful statement. What do you think?
And it doesn't really matter how long you do A Course in Miracles. It's always there, isn't it, that one? Even though you know that you're projecting out into the world, and it just seems to hang there. You can get all the other stuff and deal with all the other stuff, but that bit is always there. Right to the very end, you know? Like,
I think the last thing to go, yeah. What helps is that I'll get angry and then later I think, whoops, did it again. And then I can shift it back to me. I've just been with a mirror and a teacher. But at the time, the irritation, the anger just seems to flare up. I think that's the way it is. It's afterwards. I think it was Jan Polsky said, my progress is that it used to take me 3 years to forgive, and then 3 months, then 3 weeks, then 3 days, and now maybe 3 hours. And I thought, yeah, progress. I think some people believe we should never get angry, but that's not a possibility at the moment. That's the end of the line. Like Jesus, I heard Jesus on one of the public transmissions. He says something like the other day, nothing upsets me. I think, well, he never gets angry. That's over, that's gone.
And it's such a huge time to be living in, isn't it? Now,
Mm.
we see so
Oh,
much.
yeah.
And the other day, you know, I think, I don't know, I don't really listen to anything anymore. And I don't read very much anymore, except just to know, apparently we have a new prime minister this morning. My God.
Oh,
Like it, doesn't it? Yes.
Yeah, looks like it. So anyway, I look at things to keep myself informed, but oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, that there's so much out there that you could hate, really, you know. And the other day, something happened. I came across something, and I only read the headline. I think it was a Dr. McCullough email, and it was just about, oh, you know, about not being allowed to eat meat, and you've got, if you're going to eat meat, it has to be Bill Gates's lab created meat, you know, and all this kind of thing. And just, you know, the whole world is just basically run by 3 companies, and all the food processing and everything, and it's just going to be another opportunity for them to do something horrible. And I actually looked at that and I thought, I didn't read the article really, and I just thought, see, that's brought something up in me, you know, like that more of, this has happened to me before, and I cannot tolerate it. And that was the forgiveness, I suppose, you know, I know this has happened, and I don't know whether it was in the Second World War, you know, maybe in Poland or somewhere, I have no idea, but it's very familiar, this feeling that I could be at the mercy. I mean, I refuse to feel, I mean, I'm not going to, and I'm going to do everything that I'm guided to do, but I've felt this before.
What's that early lesson of the course? We only see the past. Everything is the past, whether it's this life, another life, you know. And that's what we're upset about, is the past. Yeah. Here comes
sorry.
Michael.
I got very frustrated with Trudeau, with the truckers. So I wouldn't mind unpacking that. Like his conduct was, in my opinion, appalling. Is appalling. And I'm trying not to judge. I'm trying to stay, you know, neutral and happy and stuff, but I just want to pummel him. So and when he then, you know, all the GoFundMe stuff, and he started to take all those funds, which is people's freedom of expression, freedom of speech, as far as I'm concerned. How is that a reflection of me, and how do I not get activated by that BS?
Yes, it can be difficult to see, because you would never do that, but in some form, like I think I said this once, that somebody gets upset when they see fat people, and they weren't fat, but you know, they would admit that their thighs were too thick and they didn't like that. And then fat people would remind them of this unforgiveness in them. So when you look at Trudeau, he's such a bunch of things, of characteristics that are sort of unfortunate to have in someone. And so you could, I suppose, get a little lost in which one to pick. But obviously he's got the power over you, that one. And, you know, when you look in your own life, you can perhaps spot it sometimes, like, do I do that to my children, my wife, my
Mhm.
husband, to my employees, or
Mhm.
I don't do it, but I'd love to do it. I have to hold back from being a dictator, and I
Right.
really like to tell them. One might start to see that, you know, it needs an awareness. Where in me? And of course, there's the prayer, you know, this which was given to me once. This is not as I think it is. Please show
Mm.
me how it really is, so I can be at peace. And then
Mm.
you're asking for help to see it,
Mhm.
because you know his behavior, like the Hitlers, are so extreme. You think I wouldn't do it, and you wouldn't. But somewhere we are. Somewhere.
Actually, what you just touched on something, because I think when I was a kid, I was really, it was a brutal childhood, and I was very powerless and a real supreme wimp. Um, and I wonder if it's connecting that I'm feeling powerless again, where I can't control my own destiny because this guy's got, he can do stuff. I don't know if that's,
Beautiful. It can be the
yeah,
opposite extreme. I forgot to say that.
Yeah.
The
yeah,
opposite extreme is there. It's just another. It's on the same polarity. He's one in.
yeah,
The bully's one in. You're the other. It takes two to play, though. Master slave.
yeah, yeah.
And you hate the wimp in you that
Hmm.
guy is bringing out again.
Mm.
Hmm.
So that's the other aspect. Well, you haven't
Mm.
got it, but you've got the polar opposite.
Hmm. Mm.
Yeah, I think that, I think we've talked about this on many occasions about, they say, people are just a mirror, but it's not always as simple as that. It can be that I know in my own life, I've recognized that people do certain things and I really don't like it, but I go along with it. And then it happens again. And it's like, it's there to teach me that I need to say, oh no, I don't want to do that. And sort of, I don't want to say stand up for myself because that's not right, but it's more to just to assert my beliefs, or to just say, well, okay, that's not what I want to do anymore. So to just be more confident and just state. So it's not always, gee, I'm a bully, she's a
Mm.
bully, I'm a bully. It can be the other way around.
Hmm. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's an important point, though. Yeah, thanks for emphasizing that, Joe. There's a second part to the quote. When you see an enemy or when you see something to judge, you must understand that it's part of your fractured mind represented outside of yourself to give you some relief from your distorted ideas. When you judge that, then you judge a part of your mind. You feel it as pain, even though you might not be aware of it. So this is where the concept of forgiveness comes in. And it's so very important for you to see it, not as the way that it's represented in church teachings, and not in the idea that a good person forgives and therefore overcomes badness. So those two paragraphs would take you far in life if you fully believe.
Hmm.
Also, very deep down, way in our unconscious, if you then look at the separation, we attack God. We said, we want something different for what you're offering, God. And we're going to knock you off your throne and take your power. And we're going to set up shop elsewhere. And we're going to deal with separation and individuality and don't need guidance and don't need God. Well, that's pretty aggressive. That's pretty bullying. And that's why the Bible's full of these passages of God trying to get back at us, punishing us, demanding sacrifices, sending plagues, killing our firstborn. He's really pissed off with us, and we're trying to appease him. And it doesn't get much better in the New Testament, where his only begotten son has to be sacrificed, more blood to make up for our sins. this picture of God comes from somewhere. It doesn't come from the church, because if it wasn't in us, we'd just fall off our chairs laughing at the church. So you say, you mean if we eat a sausage on Friday, it's a sin? Yes, my child. And we all roll about laughing, saying, look, I know a good counselor, vicar, that you could go and see. You've obviously got a problem here. No, the church just brought the guilt out of us in very skillful ways. And so deep down, we've been a great bully. But that we're not in touch with.
Interesting. I tried to fit into a number of churches many times and never could, and never sustained it, because I just found man getting in the way all the time, and the cliques and the politics, and didn't resonate for me, didn't feed me. But I'm interested to explore one thing, because I think part of the church journey is, sort of, you're a sinner and you're not worthy, and you become this kind of needy participant who keeps funding and coming back for more. Whereas when I was in those environments, I was saying, but this doesn't feel right, because I think God is, or source is is energy, and it's divine and ultimate wisdom and ultimate love, unconditional love. And this sort of being berated and sort of, hell and fire and brimstone crap isn't working for me. So what you just said about in the Bible, I'm interested to unpack that, because so are you saying that, have I got that wrong, or
All that's in the Bible. What I'm saying, that the churches and the Bible as such didn't make it guilty. What it did is it brought out the guilt of separation.
right?
Deep down, we do actually feel that we're sinners and we are guilty. And we can't bear to see it. Remember in that first quote, Jesus says, the guilt and the fear would overwhelm you, and you'll go into a state of catatonia, let us say, or have a psychotic break. That is the effect of choosing to throw God out, leave home, become the prodigal son. And we can't tolerate it. I mean, on the deeper metaphysical level, the Course says that, we made the world so we can just project all that stuff out as well as being there to play our game of separation. It was where we could project it. So all of that's in us. Otherwise, the Bible couldn't have been written. Otherwise, we wouldn't believe what the priests say. As I say, we just fall off our seats laughing. Don't you realize God's completely unconditional love? And as the Course says, God's never forgiven because he's never judged. But we actually deep down believe the opposite. And the churches do a bloody good job of bringing that out. And we go, yes, you're right. Why don't we say, just a moment, that's a pile of rubbish. How can a loving God, and you, Michael, got it intellectually, like, how can a God of unconditional love act this way? It's impossible. And yet they still somehow manage to hook us because of,
I remember one particular thing, it's a jealous God, it's like, no, I don't think so. But that was totally a line that used to, when you, interesting.
Yeah, we're duped for a reason. They knew what they were doing, the early church. Jesus, in Jesus' autobiography, talks a lot about it, that they wanted power, political influence, control, money, and the best way of doing it is to create fear. And once you're fearful, you rush to an authority that promises you to get rid of that fear. Interestingly, in the Nuremberg trials, Goering, who was head of the Luftwaffe, was asked by the prosecutor, he said, I do not understand, the Germans are an intelligent race and actually known for their tolerance. How could you have created such crimes? how are you allowed to get away with it? You know, he said, he looked a bit surprised, Guru. He said, well, it's simple. It works with totalitarian, democracy, monarchy. You get them scared. And then they turn to you as saviors. And one of the chief instruments was the propaganda industry run by Goebbels.
Mhm.
I always remember Goebbels saying once, truth is the enemy of the state. Beautiful, eh? Well,
Very good.
they've done that with COVID, and
Yeah.
they're now trying
Yeah.
to do it with other things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ukraine, and then they'll do it with the monkey virus or something.
Yeah.
Fear porn, as somebody calls it, you know.
That's right. That's
And then
right.
we've rushed
Yeah.
to governments to say, save us, no problem. We'll lock you all down. No, it turns out there's been no evidence to say it works, but never mind. We'll look after you. So on and on we go. We rush to the church. You know, God's so angry, he's going to send me to hell. Not if you follow what we say. And please and keep coming to us on Sunday and we'll forgive your sins. You need us. And don't you dare go home to God by yourself, otherwise we'll burn you at the stake. You have to church. You know. We've got to maintain control, and please keep sending the money. So, I mean, Jesus didn't go that far, but he was saying those things, you know, and it's been a bit naughty.
I just don't understand why. I mean, I know we're not, you know, fully in our proper minds. So it's only portions of ourselves. So we can't fully probably, you know, comprehend the scale of it all. But I'm always thinking, and I know this is true, it's true of me that I am like everybody else, afraid of God. But I just don't understand why. Even though I know that we left and we think we've separated and we think we've, you know, split heaven, I understand that's the reason, but I still don't understand why we're afraid of him.
And what is the same, we dare not look at those depths because the fear and the guilt is so great. We're left with intellectual explanations from the Course in Miracles. And we go, well, that's fascinating, you know, but it doesn't register at a deep level because we dare not look there, because we would be overwhelmed, catatonia. I mean, he doesn't mince his words there. And so an intellectual understanding is we need, but it doesn't go very deep. It doesn't have such a great impact. And that's what I think you're saying is that, yeah, it doesn't seem, why should I be like this, you know, but this going has happened, you know, we're all dreaming this in heaven, and encased in guilt, we create a whole universe to try and get rid of it.
I get all the guilt business. I can understand why you would feel guilty, but I don't understand the fear aspect of God, you know, of God. I can understand, oh my God, you know, what did I do? That's terrible. I feel so guilty. But it's just that fear bit. I just know, well,
Okay, well, the way I would see it is that, say, in this life, you knew someone and you stole their property, you hurt their children, and you burnt their house down, and they're looking for you. I think I would feel fear.
even though you know at a deep level that they love you.
It would still be intellectual. I've got this guy with a gun who wants to empty it into my body, and I know he's the Christ, and I know deep down we're one and he loves me, but if he finds me, he's going to kill me, and I am scared. I am very scared.
Yeah. It's, yeah, Jill, you talk about, are you talking fear of God?
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't think I have that. I think I have a profound awe for God, and I think where I've got that from is I got hooked a couple of years ago on watching all the NDEs, means I could see, and you know,
sorry, I didn't hear that.
Sorry, NDEs, near death experiences.
Oh right, yeah.
And so many correlations of, once you transition, that the unconditional love and the not wanting to come back. And so I guess I just have a belief that that is it. And so I have profound awe and regard and respect, but not fear, I don't think.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying, is that I don't understand. Like, I don't, right now, I don't feel fear, but Jesus says that that's the only reason we maintain this illusion, is because we are afraid.
Right.
And that's we've got to work our way back through forgiveness and understanding.
Yeah.
Another way into this is, of course, there's only one problem. You think you've got thousands of problems, but the one problem is separation, or it never actually happened, but your belief in separation. And then all the problems come from that. So when we feel fear, will we have enough money? Will we get COVID? What's Trudeau going to do next? All goes back to just one problem, and that's the separation. And that's where the fear is, what we did to God. In the Course, it says, deny the separation ever happened, put it aside. That's what the ego has achieved. So though we have like perhaps an awe of God, it's layer on layer, the Course would say. At the deepest levels, the fear is still there. And that's overlaid by a conceptual idea that God actually must be wonderful and we're to be in awe of. And that's true too. But in the unconscious, the fear is there. Otherwise, we would be awoken up now. If once that's gone, there's nothing to stop God rushing in. At the moment, deep down, we think he's going to rush in with a hammer. So we are at these different levels, and it's sort of perplexing at one level. Why should I fear God? And then another level, you've got every reason to, according to your belief system that you've denied. We're dealing with bubbles on the surface, and we're missing the depths. I'm very interested to see that we've had a nice discussion all around healing in our healing session. And we're getting near the end, so I thought we could pop in our short forgiveness 7 steps exercise. You were talking about Trudeau, and I don't know if you've got someone in mind at the moment, or we could always pick one of the politicians. But shall we do one of the short forgiveness ones? Just
sure.
We've definitely got Trudeau for Mike. I can feel this.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Perhaps those who didn't like our politician, Scott Morrison, who's just lost his job and resigned, I believe.
I'm more worried about actually Peter Dutton getting in to be the opposition.
Dutton, he's a beautiful one. He could be the new head of the opposition. We could take dear Peter, the son of God that he is, and stick him in there. Okay, Peter, thanks for the opportunity. Okay, close your eyes. Let's do the work. Let's start with a few deep breaths. Breathe out the busyness of the session. Good session, but wash it away. And if your head's feeling a bit busy with thoughts, try and imagine them sort of dropping down through your head, down through the neck. And there's the heart. So you can imagine accepting hands. Any fears or puzzlements or angers, you're dropping them down. They're starting to melt in the heart as they fall down. The heart knows you're a perfect eternal being, that you're pure love, you've never sinned, and it melts them all. Now, let us invite our guides, the beings we think of, Jesus, God, whoever you wish, to be with us in this session of forgiveness. If it helps, you can see there's a light shining down upon you, or a hand you hold. You may know a person where you're losing your peace at the moment, or you may want to turn to your guides and say, "Is it that I need to forgive? Where am I losing my peace?" Just imagine this person appearing before you now. And it's all right to feel negative feelings towards them to begin with, or dislike of them. But another level, you know, they too are a creation of God that's got lost. Someone looking for happiness in the wrong direction, as we do. And they need healing. They need love. So imagine a beautiful light coming down upon them, a healing light, an uplifting light. And they start to sense it flooding into their body. They look a little bit puzzled. But after a while, they start to smile. They probably haven't felt this way for a long time, caught in their minds, caught in their hates, believing they're right, believing even that they're doing good. And they smile more and they start to look happy. And now you say to them, "I have no right to ask you to be different than you are. I have no right to ask you to be different than you are." All my pain comes from wanting you to be different. I have no right to ask you to do that. All my pain comes in that gap between who you are and who I want you to be. I have no right to ask you to be different than you are. And I see you calling for love. And now send out a prayer of healing for this person, that their mind may be at peace. And that they let the light of spirit come into their minds. Pray for their healing, their peace. lastly, if you can, go over and hug your brother or sister and wish them well. And when you feel complete as far as you've gone, then just bring yourself back to the room. Well, we've got a few minutes left. You don't have to, but do you want to share, either one of you or both of you, from that exercise?
Yes, I will.
Good.
It was a bit funny, really, because so Peter, my friend Peter, he came and sat on the couch, and then you were talking. We weren't. I don't think you really told us to do anything at that point. But then he kind of like didn't. It was just, if you'd sucked everything out of him, and then he just kind of slid down the couch and on the floor, so he was just like tiny.
Mhm.
So I thought, okay, we'll do that again. So he did it again, and he did it again, and he just kept going, and like as though he was just a dummy,
Yeah.
and he just sort of like and fell on the floor. But then he became tiny on the floor. So then you said, put light into him, something like that. And then he just kept on doing it. Every time I put light on him, he kept falling on the floor. I was like, get up, you idiot. Just get back up. Anyway, it just wasn't working. Like I was putting all this light in, and he just kept shrinking and falling in this little space on the floor. Anyway, I followed what you were saying to him, to this little puddle on the floor. And then anyway, when it got to the hugging bit, I think I was able to do that. There was no problem doing that. But he then was like a proper man then.
Oh, that's interesting, Jill. Got any feeling why that kept happening? It seems significant, didn't it?
It did seem so, but I don't know. And the funny thing was, each time he kind of shrank and fell and flopped on the floor, that bit stayed on the floor, which was just like a suit and tie, just like that was all that was left. So you could see his head as well, but it was just nothingness on the floor. I'd get another one to try again, and then that one had fallen on the floor. So then I'd had two on the floor, and then there'd be another one, and another one had fallen on the floor.
Right. How interesting.
But I didn't really get anything from it. I was just.
It seems significant, doesn't it?
It's like maybe it was, I don't know, the shrinking, and he had no substance. That's what I should say. Yeah.
Yeah. All I sort of get as a feeling is that what he projects and all that anger and hatred, and it seems a lot, there's a lot of noise going on, and it's actually nothing. It's an empty, what did St. Paul say, just an empty drum. And there's nothing there really, unless you believe in all the noise he's making, all the hate and anger he's making. It's actually nothing. And that's why I kept sliding onto the floor. That's what I got.
Well, when you said, "Oh, hug him," I just thought, yeah, we've got to do this. Try and do this. And so I hugged him, and I put my hands on his face, and he smiled, and then he got up and walked off. Managed to sustain his body and walk off.
And a happy ending.
Yeah.
Got a smile out of him. Oh, there you go. Anyway, that's my feel.
Yeah,
Why do we get upset about nothing? It's tingling brass or whatever St. Paul said, you know, it's a bunch of nothing that we get upset about. And all the dictators are a bunch of nothing because they've lost the connection with love. And so just, yeah, more's come to me. Just see that all as nothing and send them love, you know, all the red face and shouting. It's nothing. Yeah. So I did get something from that. Thank you. What about you, Mike?
I didn't have anything quite as graphic as that, but what I did get was you have no right to, I was talking about the terminology was, you got no right to expect them to be different or something like that.
That's right.
It resonates with me the same as, you know, what other people think of is none of my business, you know, sort of same sort of thing that I'm sticking my oar in where really it's none. I shouldn't. I just have to accept. And so it's more the tone, the words. The learning for me is in the actual statement, which is I have no right. So, you know, who do I think I am to tell you that you're wrong? And that's crap. So that was the most powerful thing for me that I got from that.
That's my short version for myself. If I get upset, is that one line. I've no right.
Yeah.
You know? And the theory ties in nicely in the teacher's manual when it talks, there's a section on judgment, and it says it's not that we're asking you not to judge. What we're trying to tell you is that you're incapable of judgment. And it goes on to explain you'd have to know everything about that person, their whole life, their previous lives. Now, your judgment on them will affect them, and you need to know the effect of that in the future and all the people that will come in contact with that person who's affected by your judgment. Now, if you know all that, judge. This is the only person who knows that, it's the Holy Spirit. So we say, not that you shouldn't judge, you say you can't judge.
Right. Yeah.
And that hits me at times when suddenly I see someone with obnoxious behavior, and then you hear their story, abused child or whatever, you know, horrors, you know. I mean, Hitler went through hell with his mother, I heard once, you know, terrible stuff, you know. That's just this life.
Yeah.
And then Jesus talks about black people being persecuted by whites, you know, in this life. And many of them were whites who persecuted the blacks last time, you know.
Sure.
And they've actually agreed to come back to be abused, so they can really get it, not intellectually, but in their bones. Don't do this again. Even our woman prime minister in Great Minds Speak to You, book channeled by
Margaret Thatcher.
Margaret Thatcher was deeply upset at her behavior and said she will choose to have a life where this is done to her, so she can make sure she never does that again.
That was so powerful for me, that her chapter, because I was raised, she was my dad, she was like, could do no wrong, you know. She was like, and he was very true blue and all that. And to hear her come back and say, wow, I had no idea. And it was because I don't know what my politics are. I don't think there's a party in the world actually that I subscribe to, really. So I came from a very strident Tory right wing. Now I'm nothing. It's all bullshit. So I don't belong anywhere. Yeah. So that was interesting that she could second guess herself like that.
That's it.
Or have reflection. Yeah.
And then you think of, you know, the horror show at the moment, Ukraine, you know, everyone in there has chosen to be in there.
That's right.
Say it. There ain't no accidents according to the course, you know. And they're learning, or maybe failing to learn, tremendous lessons, you know, under terrible circumstances. And it doesn't mean you don't help people when they're in your lane. That's what I like about being in your lane. I don't want to keep sending all my money off to the Ukraine, but you know, the Ukraine's happening around me. People are being attacked and persecuted psychologically every day around me. Or if they're in my lane, perhaps I can extend help, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it doesn't mean to detach and become isolated. You know, I'm a rock, I'm an island. Yeah, good stuff.
In fact, there's the two things that we've talked about today. So you know, you choose your parents, and also you choose the experience you're going to have. Really help me to be very not neutral. Certainly, if ever there's a victim stance, which I hope there isn't, then it's completely nullified. But very accepting of everything, because it's not. Isn't that terrible? Isn't that a tragic? No, it's actually just it's playing itself out. It's perfect. So having that conviction is very soothing with the world as it is.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that word perfect's come up a number of times, that everything that's happening on the world is on one level perfect.
Yeah.
It's all a product of cause and effect and learning.
Yeah.
And all the ETs are jumping up and down saying, oh, it's wonderful what's happening on your planet. All the dark coming up to being cleared. And you should be here. You know, it's all right for you. You know, I can't catch a plane. You know, now they want to jab to me. You know, and God knows what's going to happen next. But they say, oh, this is really great. You know,
that's right.
It's all going to come out. You know, just hang in there a bit longer.
Yeah. You chose to be here.
Yeah, you're supposed to be as working here to help. You know, don't become part of the problem, please.
And the trouble is, their concept of time is so different to ours. They go, oh, I know, it's you know, it's the end of a spiritual season. It's all ending, and it's like, yeah, but probably I think Jesus said, oh, in 10 years' time it will be fine. Right. It's like 10 years time.
Remember, your spiritual season is 25,000 years long.
That's right. Yeah.
This is just a flea jump in time. You know, what's your problem? Well, he doesn't say that, of course. Oh dear. Yeah, talk about perspectives. Well, small group, great session. Often that's the case with small groups. You can really dig into things. And we actually managed to get a forgiveness class out of it. Okay, guys. So I've got to unblock. I just got to unblock my toilet now. And
yummy.
Just before the session started, there was a disaster here.
No.
Yeah, but I got the tools. So I won't use the S word, but I'm just about to get into it. Right. I'm going to deal with my SHIT.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, take care.
Bye, Joe. Bye, Mike.
Bye, my friends. Bye-bye.